Hello and welcome to I Talk to Ghosts, the podcast that will tuck you into bed with a spooky story or two. And tonight you can almost say the stories are haunting themselves. Tonight's tales are of haunted books. I'm your host Jennifer, a teller of ghost stories and a medium to the spirits. After the ghost stories, I'll share a new in-studio spirit reading with you, as well as a message from the spirits that could be uniquely for you. But first, let's check out some creepy tales of haunted books. The ghosts have volumes to say right now. For a long time, I was a book broker and collector. I guess I'm still a collector, but I don't hunt for books for other people anymore. It was in the early 80s when I had an experience with the paranormal. I was living in Bend, Oregon, and I had always wondered if the older books I found held anything unusual in them. Books are a very strange thing. People become very attached to them. I've had a few books over time that I felt had a strange aura around them. I never told anyone about that because I thought they might think I was crazy. To be honest, I wasn't sure that was even quite possible. That is, until I bought the Beasts of Tarzan book. I purchased the Tarzan book from an estate sale. I love to go to estate sales to see what rare gem I could find. Tarzan books aren't super rare, but this one was in excellent condition. It had a beautiful light green cover, and as I looked through it, I found a name and date written in pencil in the back. Benjamin, 1920. I paid for the book and left for home. When I got to my house, I put the book on my desk and forgot about it. The very next morning, I got up and headed to the kitchen to get some breakfast. When I passed my office, I noticed that the book was on the floor. In fact, it looked like it had been placed on the floor. It was open as if someone had been reading it. I found this very odd. I live alone except for my dog, and he had been with me all night. I picked the book up and looked at it. I was afraid that if it had fallen off my desk, it could have damaged the spine, as old as it was, and I breathed a sigh of relief when I realized it was okay. I shook it off and figured I had accidentally bumped it off my desk. However, over the next few weeks, I found the book 4 more times on the floor. It was always in the same spot on the floor and was always turned to the same pages. After the 4th time, I decided to put the book in my old trunk. The trunk was in the corner of my office, and it's where I kept some of my more valuable books under lock and key. It was quiet for a few days, so I forgot all about the book. Then, one evening, I was reading a book before going to bed when my dog jumped up as if he heard a noise. His hackles were raised, and he started to growl at the hallway. At first, I couldn't hear anything. Then, I heard it. It was a deep thudding. I walked down the hall and could hear the thumping was coming from my office. I opened the door and realized that the hollow thud was the sound of someone pounding on my old trunk in the corner of the room. I reached into the room to turn on the light, and suddenly the sound stopped. I walked over to the trunk, but couldn't see any signs of anyone having been there. I got the key from my desk drawer and opened it, half expecting an animal to jump out. As I opened the lid, I found nothing out of the ordinary. I closed the lid and looked around. I was stumped as to what could have caused the banging. I checked all the doors and windows and finally went back to bed. I had just gotten back to bed when I heard the banging starting up again. I ran down the hall with my dog at my heels, and as I opened the office door again, it stopped. I left the light on in the office and went back to bed. The sound didn't come back that night, but my mind was running wild, trying to figure out what was going on. Things were quiet for about a week. Then one night, I was startled out of a deep sleep when the door to my bedroom was flung open and my dog started barking at the hallway. I jumped out of bed and grabbed the phone, thinking I had an intruder. I was just about to dial 911 when I heard the distinctly familiar sound of the trunk being hammered on. That's when I knew it wasn't an intruder. I walked down the hall and, just as before, turned on the light to the office and the banging stopped. I was both terrified and stumped. I was starting to wonder what I had brought into my home to cause this. It was another week without any sound from my new ghost friend. I was just beginning to believe it may have left me alone for good, but I was wrong. I had gone to bed and had fallen asleep. I remember rolling over in bed when the smell of burning wood permeated my nose. I was trying to figure out if I was awake or dreaming when a new horrible burnt smell hit me. I sat up in bed and reached for my lamp. Just before turning it on, I froze with a gasp. Standing right next to my bed was a boy, about 10 years old. He had on clothes from another era. The left side of his body was burned black. I could see one of his eyes was burned out, and there were tendrils of smoke drifting up from his smoldering clothes. I could see a few red cinders burning in his shirt. I realized the horrible burning smell was that of burning hair. I was horrified and unable to move. He looked at me with an angry, almost accusing look. He started to speak, but I couldn't hear what he was saying. He looked at me again, and with considerable effort, he spoke aloud this time. I could hear him in a soft, raspy voice. "You took my book." He leaned in closer to me and again spoke. "You took my book." It hit me like a ton of bricks. I was looking at Benjamin, the owner of the Tarzan book, and in a single moment, he vanished. The next thing I remember was waking in the morning. I was still so terrified. I got up and retrieved the book. I sat in the kitchen, shaking from my experience. I didn't know what to do, but I knew without a doubt this book wasn't going to spend one more night in my house. It happened to be Sunday morning, so I dressed and went for a drive. I felt that if I destroyed the book, Benjamin might stay at my home, and I didn't want that. So I called a friend of mine who was also a book broker. I met him that afternoon and explained what I experienced. At first, I thought he might think I was crazy, but he listened intently. He explained he had also had a similar experience once, and he had found a gentleman who collected books just like this one. He explained he thought the guy would love the Tarzan book. My friend offered to take the book with him, and I told him if he took the book, he was welcome to the entire sale of it. I handed him the book and went back home. I'm happy to say I never experienced another incident. I don't know what happened to Benjamin, how he died, or why he was so attached to that book. Not long after this, I started renting a storage unit for all my older books. I have Benjamin to thank for that. Four months ago, I was shopping at my local thrift store, and I found an extremely old history book entitled American History for Young People. It was published in 1899, and it documents the origins of America. I took the book home and it sat in my room for a month or two, during which time I really didn't examine it. I finally took it out to begin reading it, and I had to be pretty careful as it was falling apart and losing pages. I had it open on my bed, and I began reading the first chapter, which was about the arrival of Norse explorers. Soon after, I received a call from a friend who wanted to meet up at Balboa Park, so I left my house. The book was open and on my bed. When I got back to my apartment, I immediately saw the book, but it was no longer open on my bed. Now it's closed and on the living room table. I asked my roommate if she had moved it, and she said she hadn't. At this point, my roommate and a friend leave to go to the store, during which time I start to look through the book again. As I'm flipping through, the pages fall open to a chapter about the various hostilities with Native Americans. The chapter was detailing the history that most of us already know: broken treaties, violence, disease. The language was pretty raw, and I became wildly upset thinking about all of this. And it's worth noting that that kind of intense, aggressive energy is very unusual for me. As I was having this experience and channeling a large amount of negative energy, my bedside table broke. Part of the wood just snapped, and my other books fell everywhere. I ended up placing a few items between the pages. I put a feather, a crystal, and a fern leaf in the book, and wrapped the book in a cloth to cover it. It felt like I had neutralized the energy slightly. It's been a few months now, and I still have the book. It feels mostly neutral, but I've noticed it has an odd effect on some people, especially people that are struggling emotionally. It's like people pick it up and are transfixed. When I physically handle it, it makes me feel tired and drained. I know that I need to no longer have this book in my possession, but I'm not totally sure what to do with it. I don't really know how to go about getting rid of it. I can't exactly say, "Hey, want to take this haunted book off my hands?" It seems like an awkward question. Until I figure it out, I guess the book is mine. I found a first edition necronomicon at a price I couldn't believe from someone who thought it was cursed. It was nicely bound with silver gilded page edges. I remembered seeing one offered new for $200, and that had been years before. The previous owner said they bought it and took it home, and their apartment caught fire a few days later, and the only thing salvageable was the book. The man wanted to keep it, but his wife said it needed to go. Not a mark on it, and it still looks new, and no smell of smoke. So I bought it and sealed it up in plastic with some cedar shavings and put it on my top shelf, since after looking at it, I decided not to sell it to just anyone. I could see someone doing something weird, and it's not going to be on my head for selling it to them. My German Shepherd is now not willing to come into the house. As an experiment, I moved the book into my bedroom, and now my dog will come in, but he'll go to the doorway of my bedroom and growl now and then. Eventually, I did sell the book, and that day when my dog and I returned home, I let him in, and the first thing he does is trot into my bedroom and look around like he's making sure the book isn't hiding from him. Hello, my dear spooky friend. Do you have a paranormal experience you would like to share? Submit your ghost stories to be read on this podcast. I love sharing true ghost stories, and yours could be among them. Email me your story at speaknow@italktoghosts.com. Let's be spooky together. Hello and welcome back to I Talk to Ghosts. My guest this evening is Terri. Terri, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
So good.
Wonderful. Thank you for meeting with me today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I've been looking forward to it.
Wonderful. Okay. Initial impressions. Energy that is coming in that I'm feeling. Let's talk about your sister.
Okay.
I feel like I'm being presented with two things. Some of it has to do with perspective, how she sees herself and how you two interacted. First off, okay, here, let's start here. I think she's giving me this. When she was younger, was she the type who liked to make things for people and give them things like, oh, I made this for you, or oh, I drew this for you, that sort of personality?
She was that way, like in her 20s. She was very, very crafty and talented.
Did she knit at all?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because like she's showing me, I made this for you and put her love into, this was her way of expressing herself.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes. Uh-huh.
She's showing me the color red, which tells me that she had some passions in life and she was creative and, did she like vibrant colors? Can I take that literally too?
Yes, definitely.
Because she's showing me a boldness there and
Very.
an artistic side of things. So that's coming through. Other things that she's also showing me, though, when I'm saying there's this flip side, she knew herself. And if anything kind of conflicted with that, it might not go well.
Oh, well, that's true. She was very opinionated and was very happy to tell people what they were doing wrong.
I think there was some things she did not like to talk about. It's this feeling of kind of pivoting and avoidance of, no, I'm not going to go there. No, this is where I'm going to focus now. And to me, that doesn't line up with the rest that is going on. So
My sister was extremely talented. And I think one of the things she really liked to do was cook. And so she would make treats for people and bring treats for people. But she always had an opinion over anything and felt that people always needed to agree with her. At the end of her life, we hadn't spoken for 5 years.
Was she knowledgeable at taking her creativity and then kind of turning around and teaching others? There seems to be a little bit of an aspect of her personality of, ooh, I know how to do this. Let me show you too.
Yeah. No, she would share what she knew. I mean, I think of her as being a very good person. She got into gardening and liked to show others how to garden and things like that.
She was bringing up your mom a little bit. She's saying in the past, take care of mom. Like this was an issue or this was important. Were there issues around taking care of your mother?
Yeah, I took care of my mom before she died. For the last probably 5 years of her life, I was taking care of both my parents.
Okay. I think with her saying, take care of mom, I think she's just really acknowledging that work and effort that you put into it. You know, that you took care of her and it's important. It's important. Now, with her passing, she was conveying to me the feeling of regret about the timing of her passing. And there was also this sense of wanting to express that she's sorry that she put you through that. And that I don't know if this is too personal or not, but if you had a moment of really being scared for her.
She died from COVID. I mean, she was in Arizona. I was in Oregon. And I was working 2 jobs at the time. And the second job I was working on the phone, and in between calls I would just be crying.
Mm-hmm. She is sorry for the trauma of it, and she absolutely wants you to know that she's okay, and that she never wants you to feel that way again. And if there's anything she can say to encourage you to let that go when you think of her, she's just sorry for that trauma that caused you, and that you were so far apart, and just, yeah, you were scared for her.
Yeah.
And she wants to take that trauma away for you, is what she's saying.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. She's this is a weird pivot, but I think she wants to pivot to happier things. She's bringing up a cartoon dog, like maybe Odie from Garfield or something like that.
I had a dog that died just a year ago, but that that was like the whole world to me, and then he died, and I wonder if she's bringing that up, that she's watching over him, or...
Yeah, that could be it. She's just completely pivoting to talk about the dog. The dog will cheer her up.
Oh, well, yeah, that definitely will. My dog was just the most wonderful thing.
Was your dog a very joyful, happy dog?
Absolutely.
I think that's why she was showing me Odie, because you know how Odie from Garfield is just so carefree and so happy, just so jazzed to be with you, yeah. But yes, she was like, tell her about the dog, the Odie dog, to cheer you up, because she just... There's so much love coming your way from her, and
I'm glad.
Yeah, it's a little hard to express, and it's complicated too. It's complicated. She's saying that she should have paused. Do you know what that could mean with her? That she should have paused more. She should have...
Yeah. No, that she was going around telling everybody what she thought all the time. That's, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, she's acknowledging that she could have taken that deep breath and maybe paused a bit. Yeah. She was full throttle in life.
Very much, yeah.
Okay.
Very much.
Let me see if she has anything else she wants to kind of... Oh, another joking thing. Do you have a story about a monkey? A little monkey, not a big monkey, like a real monkey at that.
I know, I didn't know about that. I'll have to ask her kids.
This feels like a zoo thing. You know what I mean? Not like...
Oh, yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, I think there was something.
If you can find out that story, I would love to hear it. Okay. Okay. And yeah, I think she just wants to express the warm, kind memories from childhood,
Yeah, no, we had a very close relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Very close, and we did a lot of fun, crazy things together until the last 5 years. And so
she was showing me a motorcycle?
I had a scooter I used to ride.
A scooter?
Yeah, it's kind of like a Granny Hills Angel.
So you have a wild side too.
Yeah.
I know we focused a lot on your sister. Was there anyone else that you were hoping would come through in your reading today?
Just for my sister, does she know how much I love her?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And she really wanted to put you at ease about that time of her passing, and how she realizes how hard that was on you. And if she could take that away for you, she would. And that she loves you so much. If you can remember the childhood, remember all the good, warm, bright warmth is what I'm getting. And just childhood, Mm-hmm. And that's how she wants to connect with you. Absolutely. Absolutely. So if there's anything that she can do to ease that for you, she wants to be there for you. She really does.
Okay. That's great. I will try to watch for her.
Yeah. I do have a few messages for you.
Okay.
So the message for you tonight is you can do this. You can do this. You have grace. If there's any negativity that blocks you, if you can flow around it, do it. Don't absorb it.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going. Dance around life. And she says, if it's broken, fix it and make the life that you want to have.
Okay.
Does that resonate for you right now?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It does.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For meeting with me. This has been so lovely. Absolutely lovely. And before we go, do you have a personal ghost story that you'd like to share tonight?
Well, I kind of do.
Listener ghost story.
I grew up in an old farmhouse.
Mm-hmm.
It was out in the country, and my brothers and sister and I all heard people talking downstairs late at night, and we'd think it'd be our parents or maybe somebody left the TV on, so we'd go downstairs and there'd be no one there. And sometimes I would lay in bed and make sure I could really hear voices. It wasn't just my imagination. I'd go down, there'd be no one there. And so it was a little weird. And then one time we got locked out of the house, so my mom sent my youngest brother up over the roof and through the window into my bedroom, and we had these big walk-in closets, and as he walked by the closet there was a figure of a man there, and the man nodded at my brother, and my brother just took off down the stairs, was totally freaked out.
Oh my gosh. How did you sleep in that room after that?
I don't know, because I know they're not going to hurt you, so
Sure. Yeah, that's a good attitude to have. It really is. But that's hard to remember at 2 a.m.
no.
Wow. You may have heard on the podcast that I lived in a house where I heard a lot of noises, people talking and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And it was very similar where it's like, all right, I know I hear it. I'm going to go into the living room. Who is up at this hour? And then no one would be in there, and it's a crazy phenomenon to witness and be a part of.
Right. Now, as an adult, I would love that. I would like to say, hey, you guys want to hang out? What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. I think you're braver than me sometimes. Well, thank you so much. This has been absolutely lovely.
Thank you very much, Jennifer.
Would you like a free spirit reading with me and record your reading for the podcast? Sign up for your chance to be selected by visiting italktoghosts.com/guest. And as an added bonus, if you don't want to leave your reading up to chance, I'll let you in on a secret. There's a discount offer to book a private session with me, so you can book a date and time for certain. Visit italktoghosts.com/guest for more details. I can't wait to meet you. Hello and welcome back to I Talk to Ghosts. I have a message from the spirits this evening, so thank you for joining me around my seance table. Tonight I'm working with fire quartz. If you're not familiar with fire quartz, it is known for stabilizing your emotions, healing old wounds, and it's also said to remove negativity and transform it into positive emotions, love, and light. So I really love keeping it around. It is such a comforting, grounding stone to work with. Speaking of grounding, I like to quiet my mind, ground and center, call a spirit close for someone listening to the podcast. Tonight, I have with me someone's best friend. She's coming in with laughter. You two met really early on in life. I see the two of you riding bikes together. She had this bright red zip up. It looks like a hoodie, but it also feels like it's a little protective from the rain. And she would wear that all the time. And you would look for that red hoodie on the playground. She was just so passionate and expressive and just so great to be around. And it really helped you so much to be friends with her, because you were a little bit of a shy hermit and she brought out the best in you, and you also helped ground her a little bit. It was just an amazing lifelong friendship. She's showing me that she passed away from cancer, and that was really, really hard. You feel like you really lost the best part of yourself, and she doesn't want you to feel that way. She's still with you. She's also showing me that this hit you really hard. Just so much weight, so much anxiety, lack of sleep, regretting how she passed. I don't think you were there when she did pass, and that tears you up inside. And she wants you to let that go. Absolutely. That her transition was not the sum of your relationship, if that makes sense. And she just feels your grief so deeply, and you feel like you're not connected to her, but you are. Just heal in your own way, in your own time, but know that she is there for you still. And it's okay to be angry, it's okay to be sad, but she regrets that you can't be how you were before, and she wants you to be yourself because she loves you so much. You're her best friend. She thinks you have a brilliant mind, and I think she's showing me that you're a writer, and that, to write down, journal your grief, if that is helpful to you. And she just wants to see you smiling in the sun, because she just loves you. She loves you so much, and you are her best friend, and she doesn't want you to feel like this. I hope that this message softens things for you a little bit, and if this message connects for you, please reach out so we can do a full reading and maybe talk a little bit more. Thank you. Are you enjoying your ghostly visit? If so, please follow, like, comment, and share. The ghosts may be talkative, but they are lousy at marketing, so every click helps. Tell your friends, and please leave a kind review so that others might join us. The spirits and I thank you. And with that, dear listener, we've reached the end of this episode of I Talk to Ghosts. I hope you've enjoyed the spooky, haunted book ghost stories that I've shared with you this evening. Do you have an experience of your own with a haunted novel or book? I would love to know about it, so please share. And October may be over, but if you're still craving the spooky, consider joining me in Port Gamble, Washington, the weekend of November 10th through the 12th for the Port Gamble Ghost Conference. Find me at my vendor booth and join me for a live version of I Talk to Ghosts in Port Gamble's historic haunted theater. Find out more information at portgamble.com. In the meantime, wherever you wander off to, in this world or the next, just remember, come back and visit with me. Have a lovely evening and good night.